No business justice, no business peace. The Cytotron, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn comes from the gut. Not just a brainy affair, and a check 1-2 to whomever claims me as their squares. I reach kindred spirits on a level that's abstract. We're all kind of messed under the laws of the NASDAQ. This class track culture is reaching its last act. You need chutzpah to branch out of your shtetl. What's the last time you can't say you settled, crab scratch? My balls are as heavy as a shot putter's. But tsunami can't happen here, cocksuckers. Every shoreline will change in this century. I got something special for the Civil War sesquicentenary. Adults are a literal waste to energy. Stuck in the middle, afraid of their penury. Infantile votes for a surrogate parent. Codicil to the Tocqueville's American experiment. Only thing changed behavior, imminent death. Tongues rot, think they got cinnamon breath. Mortal men and women named Beth. See me say, that's him in the flesh. Underground hypocrites obsessed with celebrities. Your friends are your enemies when it's quote-unquote better than me. They gave slave houses as a wall between natives. So who says a stiff upper lip means uncreative? If homelessness didn't exist, I'd say sure, this country's Christian. Humble congregations, bumbling publications. Regardless, religion fails us, so we turn to psychology. You gotta have the balls to reveal enough that you can't fall in love with all of me. No eye contact with baby, color colicky. Used to alphabetize records, now cloud is idolatry. Write songs instead of pressing like on a wall for Paul to see. Is my mic on? It's been a type long time since I outrhyme my icons. Strike one. Grown-ups know honesty is not the best policy. Don't ask me my opinion if I isn't impressed. I'm not a cynical guest, it's just that you're in denial. Go ahead, what's your definition of imminent death? Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn? Freeze, right? Right. Easy, night, night. Wait, what? Wrong. Fight! A fine showing of mind-blowing rhyme flowing. Out. Industries, tenfold intricacies. No business justice, no business peace. The Cytotron, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn comes from the gut. Not just a brainy affair, and a check 1-2 to whomever claims me as their squares. I reach kindred spirits on a level that's abstract. We're all kind of messed under the laws of the NASDAQ. This class track culture is reaching its last act. You need chutzpah to branch out of your shtetl. What's the last time you can't say you settled, crab scratch? My balls are as heavy as a shot putter's. But tsunami can't happen here, cocksuckers. Every shoreline will change in this century. I got something special for the Civil War sesquicentenary. Adults are a literal waste to energy. Stuck in the middle, afraid of their penury. Infantile votes for a surrogate parent. Codicil to the Tocqueville's American experiment. Only thing changed behavior, imminent death. Tongues rot, think they got cinnamon breath. Mortal men and women named Beth. See me say, that's him in the flesh. Underground hypocrites obsessed with celebrities. Your friends are your enemies when it's quote-unquote better than me. They gave slaves houses as a wall between natives. So who says a stiff upper lip means uncreative? If homelessness didn't exist, I'd say sure, this country's Christian. Humble congregations, bumbling publications. Regardless, religion fails us, so we turn to psychology. You gotta have the balls to reveal enough that you can't fall in love with all of me. No eye contact with baby, color colicky. Used to alphabetize records, now cloud is idolatry. Write songs instead of pressing like on a wall for Paul to see. Is my mic on? It's been a type long time since I outrhyme my icons. Strike one. Grown-ups know honesty is not the best policy. Don't ask me my opinion if I isn't impressed. I'm not a cynical guest, it's just that you're in denial. Go ahead, what's your definition of imminent death? Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn? Freeze. G's, right? Right. Easy. Night, night. Wait, what? Wrong. Fight! A fine showing of mind-blowing rhyme flowing. Out.
You're now listening to A-Rod Music.
Warning.
You motherfuckers, some more of this shit right here. Stepping out on the track, putting something through your behind. Don't try to pigeonhole me, baby. You know the deal. About to black out on these motherfuckers. It's like this. Hey yo, come on. We don't pussy for the round shit. We beat down shit. We ain't the cast that you wanna fuck around with. Straight up like a jump ball. You make my skin crawl like a snake. I hold my weight like Triple H. The cerebral assassin. I beat you, delete you with the passion. Cash in, girls are what motivates me. That's why I rap like yourself is in safety. I don't claim to be a thug, but I will need a slug for any pharaoh that's giving or receiving love. I keep a glove in my right hand, so when I murder with the mic, they won't trace you when they pull it out your diaphragm. You're in the frying pan. I'm a violent man, watch the silence of the lambs, ready to go out and snap the jaw off your mouth. I'm not the one that is. I feel it's like walking in the deer hunter is. no doubt.
One by one, use my stun gun to start off.
You thug it out, cut it out. You fuck around, we gon' slug it out, club it out. You playing games, we gon' shut you out. So now you know what we're about. Pimp, slap, and thug beyond the shadow of a doubt. Y'all motherfuckers is acting real fake, right? Your man's man ain't even that man. You ain't living that life. You ain't ready for that, man. Fall back. Bitch ass rapper, fake act clapper. Can't fuck around with the underground jaw tapper. Raw rapper, rugged like a Land Rover. Hand over the mic, your plan's over tonight. Ain't nobody flowing this tight. And y'all click, I'm too sick to eat a dick. You can't get with the words that I spit. I rip, can't stand none of this fake shit. This side of street and wait shit. You a baby, go back to Old Navy. Yo, I shop Newberry, now you want Newberry. While I'm spending cash on Fifth Ave, you kids have not a clue. Or the slightest inkling of who you're talking to. I'll slaughter you, my crew here's you wanna face off. First of all, shake the hate off. Claiming that you paid when it's my place you ate off. The truth is you can't afford to take a day off. You stay soft like my purple label face cloth. My dick, you need to stay off. And punchlines, but punch clocks, you be laid off. You thug it out, cut it out. You fuck around, we gon' slug it out, club it out. You playing games, we gon' shut you out. So now you know what we're about. Pimp, slap, and thug beyond the shadow of a doubt. You thug it out, cut it out. You fuck around, we gon' slug it out, club it out. You playing games, we gon' shut you out. So now you know what we're about. Pimp, slap, and thug beyond the shadow of a doubt.
MCs, beware, 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 beware,
Yeah, welcome to The Machine Lies, where we talk about the lies of the machine on the machine that lies. And yeah, you know what? Let me go with the golden instead of the purple. Sorry, I got different visual effects here that I could set up behind me. I'll go with the golden instead of the purple. I appreciate you guys. But yeah, thank you for joining us here on The Machine Lies, where we talk about the lies of the machine on the machine that lies. And of course, I'm here to, give a whole scope of, you know, sort of understanding of different, schemes here that we formulated in terms of man's relationship to the world technological system, and also the relationship of sort of mankind to nature in general, right? So of course we're way beyond offering opinions and various ideological, the shape of various ideological constraints, and we are moving in a general form to look at what comprises the shift, sort of basically from the idea of the universalism of man to the universalism of technique or technology, right? And of course, we also talked about how man is situated first as a sort of mediator, right, between God and nature. And this was a sort of Platonic sense of man, but then there was a sort of man that was before the creation of the world, right? So man then started to idealize himself as not just a reflection of the cosmos, right? But something that was necessary for the world to come into existence. So the world was created through man. So man stood at the beginning point, right? And as it says in the prologue of John, right? As we've discussed many times, right? Anarche Kaihon Logos. You know, and let me reach out to the people that are here. I greatly appreciate the people that are contributing, right? So I will reach out to them as I'm talking about this analysis of how the universalism of man led to the universalism of technique and what it has to do with both the technosphere and the ecosphere, and how the human capacity for tool making and symbol making and so on and so forth sort of feeds into this idea, right, of first creating the machine that speaks for man, and then creating, the idea of what comes out of man as the final point in history, right? In other words, man's creations being made in his own image, right? That being the end point of history, instead of man being the beginning point of history, right? As being the entity that God used to create the world, right? Instead of this idea of man existing before the creation of the world, right? We got to the idea of man's creations being made in the image of man. So this fundamental shift from the archetypal man to the pseudo-eschatology of progress, in which man becomes the final result or the end point of history. This was a final or key feature within universalism that then allowed the concept of something being brought forth beyond man, right? Mankind being only a bridge. And please come up and tell us how you feel. I'll keep talking for a while about several of these conceptions and how they relate to the technosphere and the ecosphere and man's relationship to technology and nature. So yeah, blessings to Panelverse, longtime supporter at this point. I greatly appreciate your time. Thank you for, contributing, right? Thank you for chatting, right? And also telling people to hit the like. I'm sure they, are, I'm sure a couple people are reminded by that, right? So I greatly appreciate that. Even though I'm not sure how suppressed we are at the moment, it's hard to tell, right? Who's participating. But yeah, that's why it's huge factor for the people that are actually, known participators, right? And people that are well known contributors, right? And they contribute to the discussions. They contribute in terms of moral support. I really appreciate you guys, right? Show on cyber feminism, transhumanism, Uncle Teddy. We're going to do a part 2 soon. We got tons of topics that we can expand on, right? In terms of that show. So yeah, I greatly appreciate Lorp. Yeah, we getting it popping, exactly. The river moves without plans. Only the narrow hunter drums the reeds, fearing silence. What must be announced is not yet alive. What lives arrives uncalled. Some bongos. Blessings, man. Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, very good. Groundhog's Day in Babylon again. Oh yeah, that's one of my favorite movies with Bill Murray. Blessings. Thank you for joining. Thank you to Marsha. Thank you to the homie. Blessings. Thank you for being here. Take a look at this chat here. Mortal Wanderer, Little Wing, Shadow Buddha. Oh yeah, you tell me. Alchemos, Lizard Tree. Yeah. Godson. You feel that. Yeah, y'all felt that from Mortal Wanderer. Woo. That boy is spitting straight flames.
Ooh, baby.
Straight up flames. But yeah, blessings to the people. I appreciate Mortal Wanderer. Oh wait, is this a different one? Oh wait. Fear need not dwell where the heart is clear. Shadows whisper only to those carrying stones within. The sky watches, but its gaze falls light on open palms. I appreciate you, Mortal Wanderer. Thank you for sharing. And yeah. All right. Yeah, I picked this background. I felt like going with this hypoextation. Yeah. Hypostatization is what you're trying to say? Yeah, the hypostases. That Neoplatonic notion, right? Anyways, yeah, blessings to the people. Thank you, Crystal Shaman. All right, yeah, so anyways, let me get back to the explanation that I was offering, right? And it's easy for me to chart. And please hop up here. I dropped the link again, right? So you guys can come up, right? Please come up and join us, right? We're just having a conversation about the universalism of man that led to the universalism of technique, and how first man became a mediator between God and nature. Then he became the primordial man, right? That God used to create the world. Okay, then he became the final endpoint or goal of history itself. right? And the goal of history was man becoming God. And then finally, we were the end point or goal of history. But it was not us in the conventional sense, right? So the idea of the universalism of man has sort of been surpassed at this stage, right? For a sort of you know, a mediate for man himself being a mediator, right? Well, this is kind of what man was in the Platonic realm to begin with, right? Between the sort of demiurgic intelligence and the physical matter that exists. Right? There's this man, right? So this idea of man being the mediator between God and nature a microcosm of the macrocosm, right? This was a major shift. Okay, this was probably the first instance or move towards universalism, is what I'm trying to point out, right? But what it corresponds is to a shift in human civilization, right? And trying to think like what came first. Was it the technics or the shift in our understanding of nature and man and God? Which was primary? To this notion of universalism. And finally, what we're trying to get to in our analysis is kind of like, what is the idea of either the technosphere parasitizing on human society to alter or change or use man to usurp the ecosphere? Right? So is the goal of technology to use man as a catapult to surpass nature, or is nature's goal to use technology as a goal to surpass man? Right? Is it the goal of the technosphere to parasitize on human civilization in order to surpass the ecosphere, or to sort of take over man's reliance on nature, right? Or is nature propelling man to merge with the machine, as it were, right? So there's this idea of either techno-Gaianism on the one end, right? Or the idea of transhumanism. Blessings. man is becoming more a flattened, debased subject thanks to over abstraction. We will be lower than you can get under. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I agree with that one. TML seems happy or high or maybe both. Yeah, tons of edibles, cannabis. So I'm definitely stoned. Yeah. At this point. But I'm preparing to have like a long sleep after this. So, you know, yeah, bless her.
What's up? Hello, everyone. It's good to be back.
Yeah, greetings.
Absolutely. Machine Lies and Neurojack. It's good to be here.
Yeah,
Fine.
Neurojack. Not sure if Neuro's with us, but yeah, I'm
Mhm.
definitely here. Yeah, I'm talking about this idea of of techno liberalism, right? Where
Ooh, yeah.
where it's kind of like how Alul says that liberalism gave birth to its executioner.
Yes, it did. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I pair this off with the quote, right, by the Prophet Muhammad, right, who said, "A slave will give birth to its master." Right. So this
Yes.
idea of how an excess of liberty is nothing more than an excess of slavery, right? So it's this paradox, right?
Mhm.
And so we're talking about how man, in an attempt to create a system to, like, in order to liberate man, a sort of machine that speaks for man, he sort of enslaved himself, right? And
Yeah, exactly.
and the whole idea that was used to accomplish it was liberalism, right? It
Yes,
was the concept of
absolutely.
liberalism itself,
Age
right?
of Enlightenment, the fact that, we
Right.
don't have to have like these, anyone can have a unique opinion because everyone is allegedly unique in their own way, right? That's what gave birth to it, but here's the thing, everyone has to be in harmony, even with people who they don't really see as an equal, that's what's happening right now, that's happening, or they're trying to mix with the others, such as other abstractions and ideas and forms of life. That's what's happening in real time. And the technique world is just like a giant mono culture that just flattens everyone into like this one unique way of life and form of life.
Yeah, I put it into four distinct stages, right?
Ooh, yeah.
And one was this idea that man is a sort of microcosm of the macrocosm, right? So here
Yes.
you have this idea that man is a sort of mirror of nature, right? So
Yes.
as
Yes.
Rousseau said, right? First man saw nature peopled with spirits, right? Then he took God out of nature and put God in the temple.
The
Then
temple.
he put man in the temple,
Man in the temple, yes,
right?
with human worship, the
Yeah,
priests.
and I say there's a fourth stage in which then man started to create you know technology in the image of man, right? So
Yes,
it's like
intelligence. Yeah.
yeah. So the fourth stage is like the pseudo eschatology of progress is actually paired with this notion of the mythos of Mechanos, right? Because it's leading towards not us being the end point of history, because in universalism, man is the final goal or end point of the
Endpoint,
historical
yes.
process.
Liberalism progressivism, all of those, what they called the Whig history, or like a very Eurocentric view of history, a
Yeah.
Anglosphere view of history. Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely related to that, right? Because they first have the idea of Aristotle, right?
Rational
And
animal. Man is rational animal. Yes.
yeah, rational animal, right? You have the hierarchy of being,
Yep.
right? You have this notion of the telos,
Telos.
right? Yeah.
Theology. Yes.
No, telos, like as in Telos.
Yeah. Oh, telos. Yeah.
Yeah, telos, right? Meaning that it's kind of like inner perfectibility, right?
Yes.
Within matter, right?
Matter has a type of end goal within itself.
Exactly, right? So this idea was sort of hijacked by the church, right? To create the notion of creation ex nihilo, right?
Yes.
So
Creation.
they wanted, yeah. So they wanted to use this notion to separate form and matter, right? And the main guy who did this was Aquinas for the church, right?
Yeah, Aquinas was a big one in
Yeah.
that what he like did.
Yeah.
He almost like disembodied reason with
Disembodied reason from matter.
Matter,
He disembodied the earthly duties from the heavenly duties, the church from the state, from
Yes.
faith from reason.
faith from
This is the-
reason.
Yeah, he used this split between form and matter to apply to every single thing in history. He applied this dialectical notion of Aristotle, right? So now you have nature that's not perfected, right? But God enters into nature, right? So
Yes.
there you have these notions of Hegel, right? That then says, well, man has to become sort of universalized, right? So there's a sort of collective salvation of man.
Yes, rationalization, the end of history. Yes,
Exactly, right?
absolute spirit.
Yeah. So this is kind of like where this idea of nature being put in the state of becoming and the inner perfectibility of nature merges with the pseudo eschatology of progress and change and
Liberalism.
literally liberalism, right? But
Yes.
this says that it leads to the notion that actually man is just another stage of history that man himself has to be overcome.
Yeah,
Right, that
man.
man
Of
is-
course, the overman.
Just a bridge, right? Just a
Bridge, yeah.
bridge to another state, right? Which is a either post-human technological state,
Ooh.
right? Or a state where technology and nature merge either with man or without man, right? But either way, right, there's sort of three competitors in the game: nature, man, and technology.
Yes.
Okay, so we have so there is Ellul again, right? Because Ellul and Mumford make it very clear, right? Because they say that technique is what integrates the machine into human society, right?
Yes, it goes into every facet. Goes into every facet of human existence, such as measurements, calculation, rationalization, efficiency. There is no more responsibility anymore in that kind of world. Absolutely none.
Yeah, because of the rule of experts,
Yep.
right? Because of surrogate activities,
Surrogate
because
activity.
of artificial needs, because of the reality of technological determinism, right?
Yes.
Because of automation, right? That signals the disappearance of capitalism.
Yeah, it
Right?
does. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, it will.
Yeah. Automation makes it possible to have a company with no employees.
Yeah,
This is why capitalism is impossible within automation.
it is
Right, so-
impossible. A new type of economics.
Exactly. Right.
It does invite a new, because it's neither socialism or communism, because there's no vanguard or workers to even be like leading the helms. and it's something else entirely, you know.
Yeah. So at the final stage of the technological society, right?
Yep.
Man has basically made the object of techniques, right? So he's the final endpoint of the technological processes,
Yes, he
right?
is.
So this seems like a fundamental notion, and as Ellul says, the universalism of man is necessary for the universalism of techniques,
Technique,
right?
yes,
So
it is.
yeah,
They both
so you
go
have
hand in hand.
yeah, so this notion, and he talks also about this in the Betrayal of the West, right? There's several notions that the West is predisposed to that makes them sort of susceptible to this sort of totalitarian ideal of technique that sort of usurps liberalism, right? So liberalism lays the groundwork to create the mass man
The
that
mass
sort of
man, the mob.
usurps, right, liberalism and creates the system of scientific totalitarianism,
Oh my
right?
God, yeah, scientific, yeah, and that's where we're heading right now. Exactly, that's exactly where we're heading. Like we literally have,
Right.
you know, planeteer people like now going everywhere in the world. Like they're even going in Ukraine, attacking things with their AI. You know, like it is insane how far they're taking it. You know, they want to, and everyone else has to like now follow suit with that. You know, they have to compete with that, which is all going in like, you know, the playbook of, you know, technique and like the mass man and a new era of like economics and geopolitics. We're gonna see everything shift now. We're seeing a new Venn diagram of like everything, creativity, art, science, politics, entertainment. Yeah, things are gonna get remorphed very soon. They already are. Like it's gonna get more and more apparent later on in our lifetimes for sure.
You know, when it comes to Western philosophy, I think that I've identified one of the huge flaws in their thinking
What's upset?
today or yesterday, which is that they seem to think existence or reality is made up of these blocks or these boundaries that are connected in this linear fashion, disconnected fashion. And this is why they run into problems, because they don't understand existence. As I was describing that to Avian today, it's just one medium which folds upon itself. But because they think it's this disconnected, linear A, B, C existence, they think that the highest realm, which is basically God, is so far away from us that we're just here dwelling in this lowly place, and we need to like transcend it through the only thing that has been useful to us and helped us in this unholy place, technology. What do you guys think?
Well, I definitely do agree that when it comes to like Western philosophy and metaphysics, they do like to like separate, you know, and put things in a box a lot. You know, they like to calculate abstract things when really the knowledge and answers are just there. It's self-evident, you know, like man likes to come up with like man when Western philosophy likes to come up with a lot of like wants and needs because of, you know, it's always like goal oriented, you know, ever since the time of Aristotle, you know, it's goal oriented even more with Aquinas and then Hegel and then Marx, you know. It's always been goal oriented when it comes to Western philosophy because it thinks it lacks something, you know, it thinks it lacks a lot of things, you know. And that's in stark contrast with like, you know, Eastern philosophy, you know, where everything is already here. You just need a bit more adjustments in mindfulness. Even in Islamic philosophy, like no one is born with like original sin per se. You're already good. You just need a bit more. You just need to follow like a dignified lifestyle, as they say. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of you know, the idea of you know, the you know, human society, right, being sandwiched, right? Well, this is a process that they sort of make clear with first the development of, you know, sort of art and ritual, which is of a pretty much a deeply symbolic nature, and it also constitutes sort of the expression of man and his tools. So man's tools are originally vehicles of sort of symbolic expression,
Yeah.
right, and sort of interfacing with nature, and they also are extensions of sort of the human you know, capacity. So they're sort of like you know, they move at the speed and pace of human movement, right? So the machine is something that is foreign at first, right, to human society, but it builds up over time, and definitely it builds up through the use of one, the symbolic forms, but also the use of organization, sort of dependent technologies, which are today we sort of call it the state.
The state, yes.
You know, the
You
state,
do.
right? Right. You know, Mumford sort of refers to the same sort of entity as the mega machine, right? So it's kind of like a bunch of different technical expertise that use human beings
Huh.
as parts, right? So human beings are directed to a particular end. You know, they're
Means
sort of
something.
born for a particular purpose within this system,
Yep.
right? So so in terms of the compartmentalization of knowledge of Aristotle, right, leads to this sort of compartmentalization of means,
Yes.
right?
Of course it
And
does.
yeah, and it sort of corresponds with it too, right? The
It does.
hierarchical organization within society.
Organization, because Aristotle is considered the father of Western science, biology, and physics, and those are becoming part of the cult of, you know, the science state. You know, that's what's going on, and he kind of gave the prototype idea of that all the way back then in ancient Athens.
Right. Right. And then the second idea, you know, is this sort of idea, at least here we talk about how, right, in order for, right, man, right, to become like God, God had to become like man.
Yes.
Right. So it's the entrance of God into history, right? And that means that God is separate from nature, one, but two, man is there before the creation of the world. He's the point of creation, right? So so in this second stage with the creation of the you know, and this isn't a direct parallel, right? But there's a notion of Adam Kadmon, right? There's a notion of the archetypal man, right? So there's several different notions that comprise the man as the sort of heavenly man, right, or the archetypal man, right, that exists before the creation of the world, right?
Yeah.
And then you have this notion with Hegel, right? Because Hegel is deeply hermetic, right? So man has to be transformed, right? And so does nature, right? Nature has to be transformed, right? So so nature and man are both in a state of becoming, right? And they have to merge, sort of, they're put in antithesis with one another, right? I think, he says that the that mind is the antithesis of nature and man is like the synthesis,
Yeah,
or
yeah, he
or
did
something like
say that.
that.
He said
Yeah,
something similar to that. Yeah, because man
yeah,
is it has both,
Can,
consciousness and the animal in him.
right. So
can I interject briefly? Sorry about that. Just if you don't mind, just really
yeah,
briefly.
but just 1 second. Just this last line is that, like is only understood by like, right? In order for man to become like God, right? He has to understand God, right? Once man understands God, he becomes like him, right? So this idea of man becoming like God as the final endpoint of history is essential for the third stage, where he's no longer this heavenly man and the beginning point of history. But yeah, go ahead, Neuro.
Yeah. Do you think that the most it's going to be like 2 or 3 brief questions, but do you think the first instance of this would be Adam Kadmon, of like when it becomes very clear, even though you could find traces of it back in maybe Platonism or something, or Aquinas?
Well, I don't know how old it really is, right? But obviously Homer, and them, they already had a conception, right? Because they're already anthropomorphizing God, right? So they've already taken God out of nature and put him in the temple and made him in the image of man, right? So that already happens before Plato with paganism and
Paganism. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
yeah, and Plato reflects that in terms of his Orphic Pythagoreanism, right? Which is not the same cult that they follow in Athens, right? It's like this other, like, arcane mystery cult or whatever, right? That's
So-
like of the Pythagoreans, right? So it's not
Mystery
the
cult.
cult of the it's not the cult of the gods of Athens, right? It's a different situation, right?
You were talking about merging the two versions of Adam. And I would say that this is done in the Bible, and I'm sure it's been mentioned on this show before, but the distinction between Genesis 1:2-6 and Genesis 2:7,
Oh yeah.
where first God makes the spiritual Adam, or man in his image, and then at Genesis 2:7 they make man again from the dust of the earth, and then from the man made of dust they separate his rib to make Eve. So this is where this is what I would say Hegel was talking about when you said he was talking about merging man and becoming with nature. Except this is like this artificial version, which is remembered traumatically from Aboriginal cultures, telling pretty much the same thing, but from a different
Right.
perspective.
Yeah.
Eh,
Yeah.
Good.
No, just gonna say real quick that because Aquinas dislodged the heavenly rule from the earthly rule, right, or the earthly kingdom from the church, right, and he put those in each separate sphere, right, then it was easy for Hegel, right, once there was no church, right, to say that the goal of history was the apotheosis of the state, right, because the state fulfills this goal of becoming the heavenly entity, right? So instead of it being a dichotomy between heaven and earth, right, the state becomes the endpoint of history and becomes heaven itself, or so on and so forth, right? So, yeah.
So so you traced it to Adam Kadmon, which is the Talmud, correct, or Zohar? I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean, in the second century, there's a tons of concepts, right? But I think it's way before that, right? Because Adam Kadmon, as far as I know, right, that's just in the Second Temple of Judaism, right? So it would have to be way before that, because there's anthropomorphization of God all throughout history before that, right?
I mean, Adam, this first Adam is described in Mesopotamian culture and, more importantly, in Egyptian culture as Atum, the first
Atum,
born Nun.
Right, and the reason I'm mentioning all this is, like, it seems to kind of coalesce in Hermeticism, as you said, right, which is kind of Rosicrucianism, correct? Like, that's kind of when it formulates in the kind
It's
of
a type,
more
it's a form of it, Rosicrucianism.
modern sense.
Yeah.
And I'm going somewhere with this. I'm not just restating what you said for no reason. I'm just making sure I got the gist of what you said correct.
Yeah.
Well, I said a lot. But yeah, definitely I threw Hermeticism and the Kabbalah in there, in the sense that you know, in another concept, they have the notion where man is a microcosm of the macrocosm, right? And then in Hermeticism, right, it's deeply humanistic in the sense that, you know, God created the world, right, in order to know himself, and that God is in the state of becoming, right? So in that sense, right, as we read in Glenn McGee and a bunch of other people, right, that Hegel is basically saying that, you know, man is you know, going to go through this alchemical transformation, and even people like Eric Voegelin and others came to the conclusion, reading Hegel, that he's basically talking about Hermeticism or the Kabbalah, in the sense that man has to be transformed. And that's where later, right, obviously, you know, like Marx, right, his whole idea is that the root of man is man himself.
Yeah.
Right. So in that sense, right, man gets to define himself. So no longer is
materialist
man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So no longer is man a universal sense. It's just a you know, sort of a creative process, but sort of self-creative, right? So it has no definition. So in the last point, right, man is sort of defined socially, right? In the process of the apotheosis of the state, man is subsumed.
Right. Well, where I'm going with it is to kind of say that most people think of science as, you know, the scientific method, but what I'm seeing out of what you're saying, what I see in what you're saying is that they kind of inverted science in a sense, where they start with the conclusion and they run all these experiments to create the conclusion in which they came, which of course is impossible. But that's kind of like the process of progress, isn't it? You see what I'm saying? And that's kind of what you just said there at the end, right? Of, you know, you kind of create this vision that you want for humans, and then you kind of try to force it into becoming. But obviously that's kind of like insane, but you can't stop the process, because your fundamental belief structure is that you can force your reason and your will into existence like you are God. Is that am I misconstruing it, or am I butchering what you're saying? Or
well, it's like how I was reading from you know, the Leviathan, okay, of Hobbes, where he says that the artificial man is like a mortal god. And what is the artificial man, right? It's a sovereign, but that sovereign represents the collective will of the people, right? And then in Locke, right, every man is an executioner, of the law of reason, right? The law of nature, right? So it's like there's this idea where, nature and reason interact in man in a state that is sort of natural, right? And this state of natural reason, right, represents this idea of the tabula rasa, right? Where in Rousseau, it's represented as the collective will or the collective spirit, right? So this notion of collective salvation, right, is embedded all throughout all of these sort of humanistic tomes, right, which represent the state as the sort of collective will of man. So Hegel is really seeing like the spirit of world history is represented in this process, and that's why he's going to the marketplace with Schelling to plant a tree of liberty in celebration of the French Revolution. And he says Napoleon is the world spirit on horseback.
But isn't that kind of the thing? Is like they're kind of starting with the conclusion, like they can't really prove their theory is correct, right? Like it's impossible to prove their theory is correct. It's just an assumption, and then it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy, I guess is what the word I was looking for, maybe, or the term I was looking for.
Oh yeah. Yeah, once you say either man was there, either as a mediator, right, between God and nature, so it's this notion of the collective spirit is already embodied once you create, and this is what I think even Fatima was saying, right, that it's the notion of abstract reason that sort of dislodges man from nature, and then as you're saying, Neuro, it creates this thing that he can't control, right?
Yeah, that's true. And it's also, just to interject here, there is a strong reason why Hegel is called the Protestant Aquinas, because he was essentially kind of saying almost the exact same thing, at least in terms of like their like train of thought, word for word,
It seems to me that materialists, for example, reject God because their whole concept of God revolves around the Christian God, who they see as a judgmental being who is not moral. And because of this, they reject the entire notion that there is a God at all. And because of this, I think they want to become the judge over the universe, just like God was described in the Bible, in order to make sense of the unknown universe they find themselves in, because that they're stuck in this rhythm of polarity, essentially, where they went from one side of the pole, from being part of the Christian paradigm, likely, not all of them, to then being materialists and then essentially wanting to become God through technology.
Yeah. They want to like fill in a hole that they felt that they feel, and that is with like the other thing that's closer to God with AI, technology, machines, the system, the state. Yeah,
A god-sized hole.
absolutely. There you go. God-shaped hole. Yep. I think that's what like most people have in the West. You know, they have like I think most people everywhere have like a God-shaped hole inside them, and they just want to like fill it out. You know,
Well,
even
I noticed this among Catholics in particular, which is one of the reasons I can't be a Catholic, is like they have this giant hole in their heart and they just can't ever fill it. I feel like, you know.
of course, yeah, because in their drawings in their paintings, their heart is on fire. The Sacred Heart is always on fire because they always feel like they need to inflame it, or else it'll go cold. It's very interesting, you know, how kind of like Christianity was kind of like the religion that wanted to bring God to man, but its schools and nations kind of like in many ways separated man, God, and nature from each other. It has, you know, with like the rationalism of the Western scholastic traditions, which even influenced John Calvin. Even like the John Calvin actually wanted to be more rational than the scholastics. You know, he was also a lawyer too, and he was quite an authoritarian ruler of Switzerland or Geneva. So it's quite
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, we talked about this on Jack, how Calvin was actually a classical liberal.
Oh yeah,
Really weird, right? He
yeah.
supported classical liberalism, right?
Yep.
So very strange turn of events, right? We're one of the main Protestant figures, right? He's moved well beyond, right? Just the low level, weird, almost arcane views of Martin Luther, right? Where he's saying
Oh,
like, oh,
Luther
this
was very
yeah, this
strange.
lake is like possessed by a demon lady, you know, and all this crazy shit, right? The guy was almost batshit crazy, right? He's talking about like beating his wife and all this crazy. He's almost like medieval and like
Yeah,
strange,
of
right?
course.
But Calvin is way just pretty much just a scholar of a lot of Western ideas and
Yes.
definitely, Rousseau and Kant, right? And those kind of guys, right? They were like impossible without, Calvin and
Oh yes, in fact, you actually brought a very strong point. A lot of the Enlightenment era philosophers, they were all like from like the Protestant background, either Lutheran or Calvin. With Rousseau, it was
yeah,
Calvin.
actually, actually, Rousseau's dad was a Calvinist preacher.
Yep, he was
Right?
absolutely.
So
and
yeah,
Immanuel Kant's parents are part of like one of the most like
pietism. Yeah, weird,
yes, the
weird.
mystical strand of Lutheranism, and so was the family of Soren.
Right, right. And
Kierkegaard.
then we pointed out how Kant, right, who actually had a lot to do with Hegel, right? Hegel
Yes.
considered, Kant one of the most important philosophers.
German idealism.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, Kant was a utopian already.
Utopia.
Right, and in light of his views of Swedenborg and all this ideas of the New Jerusalem, right? So
New Jerusalem.
already by Kant, right before you even get to Hegel and Marx, you have this utopian ideal, right? So
Kant.
it's very,
Kant is considered like one of the founders of modern day liberalism. He is,
right. Yeah, he is. Yeah. Yeah, him and Locke are huge in terms
Very
of
huge.
inventing this notion of the tabula rasa, right? It's one of the main concepts within liberalism, right? That
Yes.
I've talked about.
Huge one, very extremely huge. One of the, I mean, it was
Yeah.
John Locke who came up with that, the tabula rasa, and then he influenced Hume, and then Hume influenced Kant, and Kant pretty much influenced all of continental philosophy up until, I want to say, the First World War. Yeah. And then it became a bit more splintered off after that. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll get into some more stuff. Collect some questions if you guys have them. I'll drop the link again in the chat. I'll play some music for you guys, and we'll
All
be
right.
back in
Please
like
do.
4 minutes. I'll get some
I got
coffee.
you.
And yeah, thank you guys. And this song is called Sparky's Joint. I mean, I found this on a tape. It's pretty jazzy, I guess. So yeah, so here's a little moment of Zen while we go ahead and grab some coffee from the other side of the room. Blessings to the people, and we'll be back in about 4 or 5 minutes. Right? Thank you guys. And then we'll continue the discussion. So if you guys have been listening, paying attention, right, hop up and tell us what you think, right, about the ideas and the topics, or feel free to participate, or we'll continue the discussion. And of course, all the people that are here participating in the discussion, feel free to take the discussion wherever you guys like. I'll be opening up, maybe I'll get into some text and see what happens. But of course, we got tons of material, right, whether or not people participate. So yeah, we'll see where this goes, and of course we'll be back tomorrow with another show. But yeah, we're not done with today's show yet. We'll be here for a little while more. So yeah, please consider participating. Blessings.
MC battle. In the MC battle. In the MC battle. In the MC battle. Red Creator on the Raiders. Red Creator on the Raiders. On the Raiders. On the Raiders. In the MC battle. Red Creator on the Raiders. Red Creator on the Raiders. On the Raiders. In the MC battle. Red Creator on the Raiders. Red Creator on the Raiders. On the Raiders. On the Raiders. In the MC battle. Red Creator on the Raiders. Red Creator on the Raiders. On the Raiders. In the MC battle.
Oh, you know what? Let me take this off the screen first. And I apologize in advance for the skipping of the videos, and the thing is because we're running a lot of different files and things. So yeah, so eventually we will do a music show where we'll play separate versions of all the little videos and stuff, so so you guys could watch the without the skipping, because we're doing we got a lot of files here, so we gotta actually bear with that for now. But let me while we're doing the show, but we try to make a smooth transition, but for some reason on StreamYard it's not really working that well. But yeah, let me go to this and find where we got to this little part that we were at, talking about nanobioinfo neurotechnologies.
Ooh.
Converging technologies, right? Nanobioinfo neuro. So I don't know if you guys see that. Yeah, here's where we were at. I believe. Right, so we're about halfway through this little piece here, and already it's looking to mirror what Kurzweil and these other guys are saying. Here's the thing about medical ethics. Which is about bioethics, right? Which is also, as Mumford said, right? It's about biotechnics as well, right? And of course, when we talk about the concept of cybernetics, right? Where you talk about the origins of the word, right? In terms of Kuberneticos, right? Control or steering, control and communication within the animal or the human or the machine, right? So they're applying the same concept across the board. Okay, so when you look at ethics and bioethics and biotechnics and biotechne. Right? Then, of course, they're talking about merging a bunch of different, boundaries, including, as we said, right, giving ethical consideration to things, right, like inanimate objects, right? But yeah, let's take a look at this. I'm not sure how much of this we read because my entire, computer like sort of shut down, and then we had to like reboot all of the files or whatever. So I'm not sure where we were at in this, but I'll just start from here, right? It says over the past couple of decades, academia has picked up the ball and started to analyze various transhumanist matters. So feel free to cut in wherever you guys like, and I got the link there. And we'll continue with the shows here. So this is the contribution are far too many to comprehensively describe here. So we will pick out just a few threads, beginning with ethics. Interesting. Right, let's see if there's any ethical constraints. Obviously, medical ethics, right? Because they're talking about merging technology and humans, right? The main concerns would be in medical ethics, right? So let's see. So it says for most of its history, moral philosophy did not shy away from addressing practical problems in the early and mid parts of the 20th century during the heydays of logical positivism. Interesting. Applied ethics became a backwater as moral philosophers concentrated on linguistic or metaethical problems. So he notices the issues with logical positivism, right? It says, since then, however, practical ethics has emerged as a field of academic inquiry. The comeback started in medical ethics, revelations of horrific experiments of the Nazis, of course, right? Not that they didn't then divide all the scientists and then use them for all sorts of advancements, right, in this country and other countries, right? So for some reason, the scientists didn't go to jail for those crimes, right? They were then used for their findings by all sorts of corporations, and they're employed by the state, including in America. So it's funny how that works.
Boy, that sure does sound like Luis Serra, don't it? Uh-oh.
Yeah, I guess.
It's from Resident Evil 4. They take a scientist who worked at Umbrella and Los Illuminados using to work on the parasite.
Exactly, because it's like if it, if it works, you don't get caught, right? This is what happens, right? If you, or if they decide to use your findings, you don't get caught, or they're just steal them and throw you in jail anyways, right? Like, for example, like David Bohm, right? They just stole his work, right? He said, I don't condone this being used for this, that, and the third thing. And they said, we don't care. So, and that's part of the reason why, sort of or actually no, actually I don't want to say this. Right? Actually, yeah, let me not say this. Yeah, let me not get too carried away. But yeah, let me continue reading here unless somebody else has a comment. All right. So it says Revelations. Oh yeah. So yeah, he's doing the whole Nazi thing, right? So you know, Goy Patrol to Unit 8200. Come in, Unit 8200. All right. All right. Yeah.
Satchel,
You know. Man subjects in the name of science led to the adoption of Nuremberg Code 1947, the Declaration of Helsinki 1964. Right? That's when Jacques Ellul's Technological Society was translated into English.
Yep.
Right? So it says, which laid down strict safeguards for medical experimentation, emphasizing the need for patient consent. Oh, that's a riot, isn't it?
Oh my god. Wow.
Ever since then, they've just been poisoning the shit out of people without their consent, and yeah, and the
they've been getting
chemical,
away with it.
yeah, and the chemical companies and the I mean, the medical companies are working together to poison people on a mass scale, and oh yeah, it's just all with our consent, folks. Isn't that great? Right? Does that make you feel comfortable, right? But the but the rise of the modern healthcare system spawned new ethical dilemmas.
Wow.
Good lord! Wow, this guy is like detached, dude.
Yeah.
Like when was like I don't know, right, like I don't know, when was when were people put into the infirm things? Okay, hold on. The Tuskegee syphilis study happened between 1932 and 1972. First of all, right? So and hold on. When was they putting the motherfucking tards in when were retards placed in retards placed in camps in US? Talking about they was infirm and shit.
Like give like a ballpark estimate, like 1890s to like 1970s. That's when they were like doing like the high time era of just like, you know, incarcerating people with like intellectuals, like retardation.
Yeah, this is what I'm trying to look at, this idea of feeble-minded, right? You know, this idea that people were feeble-minded and they put them in a camp.
And if they were too smart, they'd give them a lobotomy.
Yep, that's true. That happened to a lot of like kid geniuses. Yeah, like just straight up lobotomy, or people who had like religious like visions. They would have like a
But
lobotomy.
allegedly, most people die from lobotomies. There's allegedly more failed lobotomies than there were successful ones. So they would have had to hid the bodies as well. But I guess at mental institution, nobody's looking, right?
No, especially during those times, they weren't gonna look for someone who was considered like intellectually or like intellectually either impaired or weird. You know, if you were that, you were kind of like seen as like uh collateral damage. Yeah.
Yeah, but like it's crazy. Like, what is this guy talking about? Like, he didn't hear of like Bayer and Monsanto and all this stuff. You know,
Monsanto, yep.
and this is all. Yet he's saying rise of modern healthcare system, turning off life support, organ donation. Don't know who just hopped out. I think it was Lorp. Yeah, it had to be Lorp. Turning off life support, organ donation. Which who knows if that's like legitimate, right? I don't know what's going on there, right? Organ donation, that's been abused tons, right? We can only imagine. Okay, if you put yourself on an organ donor list, right? What could happen to you, right? They'll definitely could think of stealing your organs and giving them to a rich person.
Yeah,
So,
to clone you, yep.
yeah, so don't do that, right? Resource, yeah. I mean, they could do that anyways, just because they have your medical records.
Oh yeah,
So,
they can. So
doesn't
either way,
matter.
even if you're not like an applied,
Yeah, even if you're not on an organ donor list, if you end up in a hospital,
it's fucked. Yeah.
suddenly, and yeah, they'll take whatever they want. They'll take whatever they need. Resource allocation. Yeah, they'll even call it that. They'll call it resource allocation. Right? Like, we just took your organ. Abortion. Advanced directives. Doctor-patient relationships. What? Like, well, all right. Protocols for obtaining informed consent and dwelling with incompetent patients. Okay. In the 1970s, a broader kind of inquiry began to emerge, stimulated particularly by developments in assisted reproduction and genetics. Well, you know what's funny is that what he's not talking about is that a lot of times there'll be people who are either having a bad reaction to drugs or they're fucked up in the head, right? Or something, and they'll be put for a long time misdiagnosed in a mental institution, right? Or they'll be just placed in jail or whatever, right? So there's a lot of people like that, and I don't think he's really counting them in terms of ethical dilemmas. So yeah, so let's go on. And I think that might fall under maybe doctor-parent relationships, but it definitely falls under protocols for obtaining informed consent and for dealing with incompetent patients, right? Because some of these people are placed there by the police, right? So,
Yep.
so they're information is being taken by force. They're not there by their consent and so on and so forth. So there's people where medical care is being imposed on them. Right. So yeah, in the 1970s, a broader kind of inquiry began to emerge, stimulated particularly by developments in assisted reproduction and genetics. What? Like what? This field became known as bioethics. Wait, what? I thought bioethics was much more broad than that. A broader kind of inquiry began to emerge, stimulated particularly by developments in assisted reproduction and genetics. What? What the hell is he talking about? Many of the ethical issues most directly linked to transhumanism would now fall under this rubric. Whoa. Although other normative discourses are also involved, so transhumanism has to do with genetics, reproduction and genetics. That's pretty fucking dark, folks. And if that's what posthumanism has to do with, then because earlier he mentioned posthumanism. So posthumanism has to do with reproduction and genetics, then I'm thinking that's kind of bad news bears, right?
I mean, it's nothing that we haven't encountered on this show. We see that in the form of guys like Axis Rat Blood, right? You know, I'm not just saying that to harp on him. You know, I do respect him, but that's pretty much exactly what he tries to do. You know, I've asked him, is your goal with your wife to reproduce and merge with this machine intelligence? And he's basically said yes, even though he considers it the enemy. So in order for transhumanism to come about, the technology must merge with humans. And this is why we're getting sci-fis like Cyberpunk telling us about cybernetic enhancements and things like that, because it's the merging of the synthetic with the biological, pretty much as close as it can get. Because before it was separate, but the person could hold the thing in their hand. But now it's going to be inside you.
Yeah, forget that.
But I mean, I can't remember his name, but he's that real powerful, famous dude who just came out here long ago. And the way he's saying how the world is supposed to go, he kind of sounds like he don't have much control of it. So I mean, from what I understand, most of these people who are major faces in play that we see surrounded in the news and media all the time, I mean, maybe to some extent they kind of, I mean, I'm not saying that most of them don't push for it, but it does kind of seem like they are kind of warning most people like us who are aware that, like, there's not much you can do about this technology. I mean, I'm starting to understand that what they're doing in like the medical field, which is why I'm LARPing about Umbrella so much here lately. It's no joke. I thought it was here like a year and a half ago. Like, no, apparently it was here during the. So, I'm just saying, when the world shut down just here a few years ago, I thought I understood how much they moved behind the scenes, but no, it's. What we're going to probably see in the next like year and a half, 2 years in the medical field starting to be really pushed. It was here like 4 or 5 years ago. So I'm just saying it does seem like most of these people, I'm just saying there's a few people in the medical field who are kind of like telling me that, like, yeah, you're right. So I'm just saying, what are you going to do about it? I mean, most of us, as a child were, what? Our parents were told if they didn't do it, this was going to happen to them. So, and anyway, I'm just saying the reason why is because I know people in the early 60s and 70s when they came out in the schools with them big, huge, like horse vaccine looking tranquilizer things. And people who were in school in the 60s and 70s, I've heard a few horror stories about what's happened, a few of the kids with them. And remember, this is for all the alleged Tylenolism. That's what I call it now. So, you know, as far as back as what the early 1800s, they were pushing this eugenics type of stuff. I mean, it hasn't benefited humanity. I mean, we're supposed to be aiming for alleged hundreds of years, if not immortality, but look at our mortality rate just here in the last 40, 50 years. You're lucky if you make it past 60, 70 years old. And that's if you're not smoking, not drinking, you're not eating, and people who are still running. So
Yep.
I'm not sure what much you can do if you can't trust your doctors. So, you know, you go to the doctor, and I can tell you, even if you're rich, you know, if you want to go trust one of them biodigital IDs like Ethan Winters, and, you know, yeah, go right ahead. But I'm not sure what much we can say about that system or the other technological system that I've been hearing about here lately, where the AI that we're dealing with too, you know, the stuff that I jump around with and play with, it's a lot worse than that. I'll put it this way, like earlier, or no, the last time I was on stream when we were talking about them scanning your brain, you know, I'm not going to lie. I mean, at the end of the day, I think this stuff does leave residual effects in your body and does leave traces and amount of things. Cause, you know, you go to the doctor and they tell you that there's traces of stuff. So, you know, you already got microplastic in your balls. I'm not trying to go on. I'm gonna have to get off here soon, but I don't know. I guess what do you do if you can't trust your doctors?
They had there's this one I think professor, I forget what his title was, but he did an experiment with several AIs concerning war games, and like most of the situations ended in some kind of conflict where nuclear capabilities were employed. So it doesn't really say too much great for AI, in the sense that, like, now it's like, well, if they're capable of doing that, then why are we having AI get accustomed to our medical related fields? It's like insanity.
Oh, I didn't know it unmuted me. Well, again, I'm just going to tell you, you don't have much of a choice. Like, they might ask you, do you want to use this technology if you come in? But, like, maybe once you say no, right now you have that. But, you know, go look at your own medical charts online. So don't tell me that this is a human cataloging it when they've, you know, proven that they can't keep up. And I've had literal doctors admit to me about stuff that's happened since the so
all the data.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Oracle has all medical data at this point.
I'm just gonna say, you know, next time your sky turns gray like mine did a few days ago, I think you already got the nanobots and the parasites, but, you know, I called that out a few months ago when everybody was freaking out on Facebook saying you need to deworm. They're putting worms in the snow. So, yeah, allegedly.
They have worms in brains now too.
Well, I'm just saying, I think it's funny that a few days ago on YouTube, they were pushing the whole being able to control a cockroach with a remote control. But anyway, you know, eat the bugs and beat one too, allegedly, so. I don't know. Yeah, you got billionaires who, whether we like it or not, you know, somehow allegedly are the ones who are, you know, getting the world to do a majority of what what we are reviewing here. You know, at the surface level, immortality ain't meant for anyone on these panels or usually on the internet. I'll put it that way. If you ain't got lots and lots and lots of shekels, it's not meant for you. So
Oh yeah, don't even get me started on that. Yeah, if you don't have that type of background and expertise, then like yeah, it seems that it's not going to be pretty successful for you. And it's just the fact that the power has both a desire to live, but also a desire to enslave. It's very very fucked. You know, something that wants to live forever but wants to enslave others. Like that's something that needs to be addressed in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Yes. I'm working on something that will address that.
Oh, really? So that's cool.
Yes.
That's cool. Yeah, because huh?
It will pretty much synthesize multiple disciplines into one narrative using the topological metaphor.
Topological metaphor.
Yes.
It's actually funny that you made that video. Not funny, but it's very interesting that you made that video because someone else who was on the show, Finding Gnosis, also did like something that had to do with that topology. Yeah, he also did something along those lines, saying that the universe is in the shape of like a thyroid or like a toroid. Yeah, it was very interesting, very very like eye opening.
Well, no, that would be a misunderstanding of topology because that would insinuate the universe. Or I'm sorry, if he said the universe, that would be correct. I mistaken it for existence. If he had said existence was in the shape of a toroid, that would be misunderstanding.
Oh no! He said that the universe was in the shape of a toroid. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree.
Yeah, he said that. He gave like
Toroid
some
all the way down.
and he gave examples like in like mathematics and like fractals. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very interesting presentation, and he touched upon things such as like water balloons, like water that like forms in like the like all of like the whirlpools in the waters and the ocean. Yeah, and everything along those lines.
My presentation is going to relate more to ontology and history and sociology.
Sociology, yeah. Yeah, I'm getting into sociology. Oh, sorry?
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Okay.
I mean, it's just a branch of psychology. But really, it really is about psychology. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh yeah, like
I know that it's easy to look at psychology because it categorizes psychic thought and attempts to predict human beings and make them more predictable. However,
patterns.
Etymologically, all it means is the study of the spirits, trying to understand
Ooh.
the life.
Yeah. What do you need? Ooh. Give me goosebumps.
Yeah, all it needs, it's like that's all it is. Yeah, and I used to believe in like the idea that like philosophy is just like psychology kind of back then. I mean, it kind of is. Like everything can be examined through the mind and experience. But now looking back at that, the way that I used to view that was through like it was through a very like reductionist way of viewing things. Because the person who kind of started that trend was Hume, David Hume. You know, he's like a empiricist and naturalist, even though he's pretty interesting because his whole idea about like emotions overriding logic and reason influenced this one German philosopher who was a rival of Kant. His name was Johann Georg Hamann. Yeah, he influenced Soren Kierkegaard, but he was a rival of Kant. Interesting enough, because he was more about like faith-based knowledge instead of like reason-based knowledge.
I personally think most of the Enlightenment era philosophers were limiting. They're arguing about categorization.
Oh yeah, there's a good argument for that, and largely I agree. Yeah, like Kant was very limiting, with his whole like noumena and noumena separation. Who else was there in that Descartes? In this separation of the mind and body, that's a huge one. Everyone since then's tried to correct them or address them.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting. How can you separate the object from the subject and vice versa? Like, that literally makes no sense,
Well, like I said, if you look at it, I think since learning that, like, I've become just smarter. There's no other way to describe it. But if you look at it from a topological perspective, like I said, the West used things as this linear progression of data point A, data point B, building block A, building block B. And because of this, they don't understand that they exist within this web of subjective experience all around them.
Ooh, I like that. Actually, I like that idea phrasing of subjective experience. Yeah, that's very true. There's a subjective experiential knowledge, which I'm definitely currently investigating right now because I'm reading, thanks to Soren and Elul, I'm reading not only like I'm reading like a lot of Christian existential theology, and they all say the same thing. All of them from like another one. There is Karl Barth and Paul Tillich. They're all very unique in their traditions because they argue that like natural theology, like to study God through like a nature and like abstract it through nature, is like inherently just flawed and wrong. And I can definitely see a compelling argument to like view their religious epistemology as very, very more, how could you say, I guess, more like accurate to me in viewing reality.
Well, I don't know about these guys in particular, but hostile Hyperboreans here.
Don't mind me.
Just a local Freemason.
I don't know about the guys you're talking about in particular, but the way I see it, most Christians have this detached perspective from God pretty much universally. And they think that the only way to channel God is through the ultimate receiver, Jesus Christ, or the church, or both. And
that's a LARP.
I mean, this is what they think. They think that we're unworthy sinners and we need Jesus, and Jesus is the only way to God. Is that not what they think?
I need parasite Jesus.
But didn't they also say that like the kingdom of heaven is within sight everyone? They also said that too. But like, it is interesting though, because like the pagan worldview was more like entwined with the world and like a nature, until we have Greek philosophy mixed with Judaic dogma, and then we have Christianity, because essentially it's just that even though it says it has superseded the Jewish covenant, it still has some some lineage, as I said like a few days ago on here, that like Saint Peter could have been a type of agent for them. of like trying to like spread covert Judaism that was Platonized with Christianity, because I think it was Nietzsche.
Damn, here's another Jew in a tunnel.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. Yeah. There was another one of them too. Yeah. They're very very covert, but it kind of harps back to the quote by Friedrich Nietzsche, who said that Christianity is just Platonism for the masses, and yeah, he's correct. You know.
Wasn't he in love with a sister?
I think maybe it was a weird time back then. I mean, Edgar Allan Poe married like his 14-year-old cousin. He was like 28. Yeah, it was just a weird, like the 1800s. Like it was a weird time.
Yeah, I agree that is a massive quote, right, in the preface of Beyond Good and Evil. But there's also a huge quote in there where I think he says Christianity is the heir. The democratic spirit is the heir of the Christian spirit, or something like that. So some crazy idea where he's trying to draw a line between Judaism and Platonism and Christianity and liberalism, which is a really strange sort of line to draw, but I think he might have been one of the first people in history to draw that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. He was extremely well known to be like one of the first a contrarian philosophers. Like contrarian opinions. You know, he was one of the first ones, and
yeah, but in that he's not that rare because all he's doing is just inverting what was already said.
Yep, and making it more ironic.
Because hundreds of people like Locke and all these people, they already pretty much said like, hey, look, like we're either subverting Christianity or, you know, or we're Platonizing it to get the root of just the universal ideal of man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's very interesting. He was one of the first ones to ever not one of the first, but like he was one of the more like well spoken of it for sure. When I was like in my late teens, early 20s, I had a huge phase of him until I kind of like just like a lot like with like a lot of people that you kind of like move past him and you go to other philosophers, and that's where I found like Heidegger and stuff like that, because Nietzsche influenced Heidegger. And then after that I found Schopenhauer, because Schopenhauer gave us Nietzsche essentially, you know, because everything that Schopenhauer said, Nietzsche wanted to be the opposite of it, you know, like life affirming, vitalism, Dionysian affirmation of life, you know.
Well, I personally think Schopenhauer paints a better picture of the world than Nietzsche.
Oh, he does. Oh, I agree with you, Seth. I agree. He does paint a better picture of the world, yeah. And I'm not sure if this philosopher is ever brought up, but like I do really am interested in the works of Spinoza. I think Spinoza is a very interesting philosopher, even though I don't agree with everything. Like I think his absolute determinism is kind of because like I do believe in like a midway point between free will and like a determinism. I don't think everything is like absolute free will or absolute like, you know, deterministic world, you know. But he was more on the side of like, you know, hardcore determinism, because everything is within God. There is no contrary thing to God, because God is just like the intellect and the mind, and he wanted to create a new religion for just pure intellect. It's a very ambitious thing to do, honestly, trying to create like a harmonious philosophy with Spinoza.
Dom, I find it very interesting that you just said Schopenhauer paints a better picture of, you know, I guess when you said the
I
world,
knew
you mean
he'd
like
get triggered. I knew he'd get triggered by that.
Well, you know, it's not triggering, but I mean, what we've heard from you, what I've heard from you, right? You're Nietzschean, not Schopenhauerian. You don't align with Schopenhauer's views.
But
your view of the cosmos is more Nietzsche.
But you're full Nietzsche, right, Hostel?
No, I'm not.
What?
No, I like it, but there are
Oh,
parts of
really?
Nietzsche that you can't reconcile with Hyperborean wisdom. But not to
I'm-
deviate, but Dom.
I'm pretty hardcore Nietzsche, but I don't know.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. And just like Fatima brought up the the life affirming, all those things, like not discounting the world or materialism. So yeah, I understand why that would be the case. But for Dom, I'm kind of dumbfounded right now. Can you explain why?
Right off the bat, okay. Schopenhauer did not contact any entities like Zarathustra, whatever.
Zoroastrian prophet.
Right there, I already am weary of Nietzsche. Second of all, my understanding of the Ubermensch is basically a person who can organize chaos within the world into order through organizing people. And that's just basically manifested as tyrants. And I find that to be trashed.
The will to power. Yeah. But that's essentially the will to power. Is just.
I mean, I guess I can get that. Yeah.
Affirming like your thing with others who people. Affirming your will against others who haven't affirmed their will yet. And he was quite critical of the masters, as one should be. But his whole will to power, it does send a precedent of I'm just going to do what I want, and something like that. And it's obviously that he wanted to create a new man without the eternal, that doesn't necessarily mean Christianity. It's just he was against any metaphysical scaffolding, with him, because he rejected Schopenhauer's transcendental idealism. He rejected the German idealism with us. He rejected Christianity, obviously.
I think you put it well when you said contrarian. I think that was Nietzsche's thing. He was just edgy. He wants to be edgy.
Exactly. He was edgy.
Yeah. So it's hard to pin down Nietzsche, honestly, but there are some things that shine through in his work that you're like, okay, maybe this is what his philosophy is, but people still argue today what the meaning is behind Nietzsche. There's just so much work.
Oh,
there's
yeah.
some things that are contrary, in different parts of his life to things that he had said previously. It's just, I don't know. There's a lot going on with Nietzsche, but what we do know is that him and Schopenhauer were different. And to hear Dom say that Schopenhauer has a better cosmology when the cosmology of Schopenhauer doesn't align with his own is kind of.
Oh, yes, it does. I have synthesized Schopenhauer with Parmenides and I chose manly people.
Okay.
But
okay. Do you think that suffering is necessary? Do you think that suffering? What do you think about suffering? Right.
Well, there's two types of suffering. There's the necessary natural suffering, which is where one is devoting honest hard work towards a goal or to better their own life or other people's life, toiling to build a house or maybe even building something in the side of a mountain to live in. That takes work and suffering, but it's for an honest goal to sustain life. However, the other type of suffering is that we are essentially toiling away for something that does not actually benefit us. Instead, it benefits something else, someone else, or some abstract idea that is disconnected from what we're actually doing here and how we live our lives.
Progress. Excuse me. Sorry. I just
So that the necessary suffering, Schopenhauer had nothing to do with that, right? He didn't believe that at all. And instead, he taught that the will is suffering, essentially, and that the will should be extinguished. Do you agree with that?
Well, when he's talking about the will, I personally do not think he's talking about the overarching will that is experiencing all things. But
There's
he
no
is
different
talking
will
about
in
something.
The-
I know this. I know. I'm clarifying where I stand based off of what I'm hearing him say.
Well, you said I don't think Schopenhauer meant this by the will, and then you
Oh,
went to divide what will is,
If
right?
if I said that, I didn't mean that. That's what I'm saying. I don't. He meant that, yes. But when I say this, what he's describing is not actually the will of all of existence. Instead, he is describing the will of basically civilization and the collective that humanity has hallucinated itself into believing is the proper path. And his solution to tune off that will through compassion and silence is absolutely correct. And there's nothing I can disagree with there at all.
So you deviate with him on the fact that will is singular, right? When I say fact, I'm speaking about his claim. He says it's one thing. There is no differentiation between wills, like this type of will and that will. Will is one thing to Schopenhauer, and it's ultimately
it is one thing, but he's describing this artificial boundary within will that humanity has attached itself that is strong. That's how I look at it. Now, I know he's describing it in a singular sense, but this is how I'm taking his work and applying it to my paradigm.
Gotcha. Okay, so Schopenhauer does more for you than Nietzsche, but you don't necessarily you would agree that his cosmology does not align with yours, right?
No, but his cosmology absolutely aligns with the city state and the cosmology that the myths of the city state have produced.
In what way? Like just pessimism in general? Is that what you mean?
Well, the will is described as having this insatiable hunger, and the city state or civilization demands continuous output from humanity, which is essentially just taking our energy and feasting upon it. Continue.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
And what part of that is the LARP?
No, like
Loosh.
Looshing, yeah. Loosh farming, yeah, that's what one of my other online friends said the other day. Loosh farming, yeah, that's what everyone in power does to their
I think
each sovereign people.
I don't know.
Right. And the more they keep you on Facebook and social media talking about, and trust me, I've heard that word a lot on social media. So the more that they keep you complacent, the more they drink their loosh. There you go.
Exactly, yeah. Like the best thing to do is to not speak about loosh farming because that's what they want from you. They just want to extract everything from you.
But I mean, what does that really go to say about the world? I mean, are we saying what are a bunch of reptilian little fucking reptiles dancing on a wire?
I wouldn't say that. I would think that they're human, but like a type of human.
I'm just saying it does seem like they do somehow seem to get off of whatever it is they do, but you know.
Of course, yeah, of course, because that's how power works. You know, we unfortunately live in a might makes right world, you know, where everything's competitive and but now competition is starting to die off because of one thing, machines and technology. They're going to flatten everything with a new monoculture, you know, everything gets flattened. Everyone experiences every form of culture now anywhere thanks to the internet and, you know, AI. So I think that competition is dying slowly as it is as a concept in our world.
Don't look at Gaza.
Were you gonna say something hyperborean?
Southern Lebanon.
I just wanted to end it. I just wanted to end that whole thing on.
Allegedly.
I just wanted to end the whole thing on, you know, if you take Schopenhauer and Nietzsche for what they actually are, you are more Nietzsche based on what I've heard from you, right? That you are not. Schopenhauer thinks that the universe or the will, and ultimately is an error and that you need to escape
Yeah.
it or avoid it. So
more closer
that's
to
not
that.
you, bro. You're Nietzsche. You're like, it's beautiful, suffering's necessary, the world matters. Like it's this big like playing field, and we're growing through it. It's more your view
Consumerism
is
matters,
more,
boy.
your view to me is highly hermetic. I know you've denied that, but
Oh no, I don't deny it's highly hermetic. I just deny hermetics.
Hermetics, yeah. Yeah, what you can either there's three. Oh, sorry.
that was a little confusing, but
Well, the thing about hermetics is, it comes down to you're either manipulating people, you're trying to not be manipulated, or you're trying to help people stop being manipulated.
Okay,
Right?
I think
you're manipulating mental energies to control.
Why you putting me in a box, man?
That's not what I'm talking about. You're talking about like New Age Hermeticism, like William Walker Atkinson, like New Thought or something like that. I'm talking about like true essential Hermeticism, like the Hermetica.
Yes, when it comes to the hermetic principles, I can't deny that my paradigm is largely shaped by them.
Yeah, I mean the Egyptian influence is obviously there, and I know that you're deeply,
just look at his avatar pic.
Yeah,
He
he's
was a
into
pharaoh
Egyptian
and
mythology.
shit.
No, I actually like your views. I found it wild that you thought Schopenhauer's cosmology was better than Nietzsche's for you, right? That didn't know if there was like a misunderstanding there, but I think you've set me straight. You're taking pieces of Schopenhauer and like using them and interpreting them to fit into your model or whatever, and that's what we should be doing, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we should be doing it to all types of philosophy that we see as worth it. There's some that are more worthy than others. Yeah. But when it comes to Nietzsche, like the only thing I get from him is his critiques of like society and culture, like God is dead. That's the only thing I truly do agree with him with. But that's just like anyone could have told you that modernity is bad. That's almost kind of like standard to believe in if you're into this kind of stuff. But his solution to it was just like, I don't know. That's just not pragmatic to me at all. That's just, I wouldn't say it's not pragmatic. I just don't think it's ideal or valuable, or you'll get like drained of your energy if you try to even become like one fraction of that because of how other humans are.
Now that I think of it, Nietzsche is a perfect example of why I don't like Hermeticism, because he's basically a person who contacted some external entity that's not human, that no one can see, learned all this knowledge, uploaded all this knowledge into the zeitgeist, and then took this isolationist, pessimistic view on everyone else around him.
Yeah, it's all
I don't know where you're getting that. Like, how are you're making it seem like
Zoltan.
Nietzsche claimed that he like channeled somebody or something? How are you? That was like a literary device, right? When you're talking about Gunsmoke. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, Nietzsche never did any of that. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, there are certain letters and journal entries that he has written where he has claimed to want to have known access to the unknown God, and that's verbatim what he said. Now, whether or not he was being hyperbolic or actually sincere is a matter of debate, as with everything he has said in any writings he has done. But he was.
Dom is referring to "Thus Spoke Zarathustra," and that is purely literary. Like he's not actually channeling beings.
Well,
like that.
Yeah, that could be the case, but I think looking past that, if you look at his other writings and his diaries, journals, and letters, there are certain.
It doesn't really matter if he's channeling beings or not. The fact is, he's presenting this psychic set of information that is its own contained entity that he is receiving information from and presenting that as if, even if it is a literary fact or a literary device, it's essentially a living metaphor.
Man, I think that's a gross misinterpretation of what's going on in that book, man. You might want to look at it again.
I think what I was going to say was that Nietzsche's metaphysics, for lack of a better word, is actually heavily influenced by Spinoza. Like Nietzsche thought of himself as like a new way of Spinoza, and like his main idea of eternal recurrence heavily echoes Spinoza's God of like a nature where everything is all encompassing, almost like something is being trapped in the world and like the material world and like the natural world for him, along with Spinoza. Like they both agree on those fundamental attributes. Some people say that if you want to understand Nietzsche's vitalism, you just have to read Spinoza's ethics, because like it's almost kind of like a form of like intellectual plagiarism, which I don't want to say that, because that's like 95% of philosophy is just like expanding upon the other's work or critiquing it. But man, the parallels between the ontology of like those two men are just like very, very, like it's kind of almost too close to each other for like just to say, oh, it was just like an echo of it. No, he definitely could be seen as a Spinozist, as I think Gilles Deleuze said about him.
Well, shit.
Yeah. I don't know
Yeah.
what. Oh, sorry, machine.
Oh yeah, just saying like Nietzsche's got some good ideas.
Yeah, he does.
Right? Like for example, like he combines his criticism of philosophy with this criticism of art and theology. Right? And then he doesn't like modern political systems, but
yeah, that's good.
He's not really that much opposed to sort of ancient sort of political systems. Yeah, and his idea of, you know, like how like Rome is like better or equal to the modern world. But then his idea is like his over reliance on Heraclitus.
Heraclitus, yeah, everything changes, yeah.
Yeah, and then like obviously it's brought forward by his notion of the will, you know, and how all wills are opposed to all other wills.
Yeah,
Oh,
that one is very like interesting, but also kind of weird too. I always say that like I think the philosopher that corrected Nietzsche after him, like besides Schopenhauer before him, was Heidegger. Heidegger definitely did correct him as saying that like, hey, your solution to like the crisis of metaphysics, nihilism, and modernity probably isn't the best. Not to say that I agree with Heidegger's solution of it, that is to introduce being again, because that's also a pretty bloated concept for me to like describe. But like, I think it's a good correction of like, not even with him we could have like solved all of this, and that's why he had to create a new terminology and language for his philosophy with like, you know, a design and all the other terminologies that he made.
Could I ask you, do you think ontologically existence is in a state of being or becoming? Personally, you.
Personally, me, kind of, I don't know really. I shift back and forth, but for now, I would have to say becoming. But if you probably ask me within a year, I'll probably say being, and then the next year becoming. Yeah, for now, I'm gonna have to say becoming. And I know you don't agree with that worldview, but like that's just from what I've read now currently. But as I always say, I'm always up to like revise and reevaluate views. I have done that plenty of times before, and I probably will within my lifetime. So yeah, you can ask me within like a week and I'll probably say being.
The reevaluation of all values.
Yep, there you go. Oh.
If I'm not mistaken, I think everyone on the panel thinks it's being.
I would for sure. And I think Heidegger, even though he introduces the term being, it's not being. I mean, it's he smashes being and becoming together. To him, being and time are inseparable. So that's already a problem, in my opinion. I think Husserl's phenomenology, I think, is what really I don't want to use a cuss word here, but just jacked Heidegger's potential for being a legendary German philosopher.
Yeah, Husserl. Yeah, they were both phenomenologists. Yeah, they were very big on that front. Yeah, eventually Heidegger kind of left phenomenology, and he never once said that he was an existentialist, which I find interesting and kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about that, because he definitely does examine existence, though he kind of doesn't go the way as like Sartre does. Though I think that my personal favorite existentialist and my favorite philosopher in general would be
Kierkegaard. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think he chose either being or becoming. He just wanted to have a relationship with just like faith and like the divine, and just getting ready for like your days of suffering, despair, and judgment, while still trying to face the overarching.
You're talking about Soren, right? Not Heidegger.
Soren, yes, Soren
Yeah,
Kierkegaard.
okay.
Yes, he's my favorite philosopher currently. Out of all of the philosophers that I have, like own like, and just writers in general, like I have everyone from like H.P. Lovecraft to like Borges. He's the one I have like the most owned books of. Yeah, because I was really into him when I was 18. And I'm in my 20s now, like mid-20s, and I'm still fascinated by him. And a lot of people are too. Like he influenced Ellul, Karl Barth, Heidegger, Mishima, and just like a lot of other things.
Yeah, I think Heidegger is also very Hegelian. His view of history, he incorporates being as intimately related to history, and that it is something that's progressing and changing and evolving over time. I think that's a ontological error. So ultimately, the rest of it is flawed, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, Heidegger, there are good ideas. I think Nietzsche has a lot more to offer. There's just so much that Nietzsche has going on, and you can get a different Nietzsche depending on the day and his mood. So you get some wild shit one day, and then you'll get something that's, even though it may sound contrary, is still fire. So I'm much more of a fan of reading someone like Nietzsche than Heidegger. Heidegger is painstaking, just like philosophy should be. But once you get through it, I feel let down. It's like anticlimactic. I'm like, wow. So that's what it was.
I think when it comes to Heidegger, he was trying to be not a contrarian, but just like a historian of ideas. He said he was more of a historian than like a rebel rouser, you know? And
Yeah, he did.
He was
Yeah,
a rebel rouser,
absolutely.
which I guess for me now, I value people who are more like down to earth and like either historical based, or like more of like the individualistic based of like, how do you face reality and like, you know, ontology in your daily life, as with like Kierkegaard, you know, that's what I value now. But definitely, like I used to be a big fan of Nietzsche when I was like in my late teens, early 20s too.
It's so weird because me too. When I was younger that I really crunched through Nietzsche. And
Yeah,
like,
I was a huge phase of him, extremely huge phase of him, like
Yeah.
until I kind of grew out of it. And now, like, if you tell me which philosopher I think is overrated, I'm probably gonna say him or like a Camus, you know, on like either of those two. Like,
oof, overrated. I don't know about that.
okay, like I don't want to say that, but like I don't want to say that. I like the better. I guess like
For Nietzsche, the hype is real. To me, the hype is real.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, the hype is real, but to me, like I was already there. So when I see other people, like, you know, I glaze him, I'm like, I understand. I was like that too, but I found other ways of like addressing problems that he had faced and he had addressed through other people that, in my opinion, I just think that are a bit more richer for my
Yeah,
intellect.
no,
Yeah.
I agree. Like we grow past it and we kind of just like we distill Nietzsche in whatever way, however that looks to each individual, we do that and then we kind of move forward.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point because I haven't really met many people who stick with it, who are like, this is the guy, man, this is my guy, because because there's not a lot of practicality to it, at least from my experience. There's a lot of heady stuff, and that's weird because he's anti-heady. He's like anti-idealistic or whatever, but he's got it for an anti-idealist. He's pretty full of ideals. So
yeah, he is extremely, and that's like I don't know if he was doing that either on like.
I mean, he does his best to like keep it grounded for sure. Yeah, for sure. I'm not saying that he was an idealist. So I don't want TML to misunderstand me because I know he'll probably get in my ass later about that.
Yeah, idealist.
No, I get what you're saying. It seems like it's like he does have idealistic like for example slave morality and master morality, right? It's and then he says he's an amoralist, but it's not because he's just established a different type of morality.
That's the funny part, and he's also allegedly against like non-dualism, but yet he has the Apollyon and Dionysian thing. I don't know if he knew what he was doing or if he just didn't see like the inherent contradictions. Then again, I'm not against contradictions within a philosophy, but it almost seems to me that like he was very, very strongly adamant against like certain things, and one of those things was dualism because he criticized Rene Descartes.
Yeah,
and he was against like a conventional ethics and morality, even though he wanted to introduce a new one that people could follow, And so he's just a very paradoxical thinker if you really look at him widely and read him deeper and look at his influences in his own genealogy of ideas. You're like, whoa, like, you kind of do say something that went against it, or like you say something that goes against something that you have established way back then, like
what I chalk that up to is his like idea of like dynamism. There's like things, it's very Heraclitean, like he's not the same guy he was in the past. His whole philosophy is like a growth process. I don't want to call it progress necessarily because I think he was always who he was. It just took time to like mature and
it took them to like organize for himself.
To organize, exactly.
Organize himself. Yeah. Well, apparently not too much because he did go insane, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing too. I don't want to go there, but that's an interesting part of his life, and I think that's very telling. People who go through things like that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It is telling. And like the exact cause of it is still very vague. We don't really know. There's a lot of debates and a lot of just straight up false accusations, such as like syphilis accusations, which is like unfounded. Well, I wouldn't say they're unfounded. He did enjoy like his like lifestyle a bit too much in his early years, and he was like a Prussian soldier, I think. Yeah, he was a Prussian soldier. But like he didn't. I wouldn't think of him as like a type of person to like catch that and just go crazy,
Yeah. It's interesting. There's a passage from this book. The quote, he's talking about somebody who is institutionalized, and he lists some people, and I think it's very telling that the people that he compounds into this list, he says people like this person led me to think that history registers the passage of venerable figures through the cells of celebrated madmen. I remembered Nietzsche, Ezra Pound, Antonin Artaud, the chess player Morphy, the mathematician Cantor, and many others.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny. He says, I reasoned that those famous personages were presenting acute symptom complexes of schizophrenia, like my patient, which signifies that the consciousness is fragmented but not dissolved, and may eventually produce states of temporal lucidity where the conduct is more or less normal. I told myself that if Cantor elaborated the brilliant theory of transfinite numbers in the madhouse, and if Nietzsche, during his 10 years of confinement, was able to quote Homer, Empedocles, and almost any classic from memory and in ancient Greek, it was possible, to an infinitely lesser extent, that the account from this person was in part true. Yeah, so it's interesting, right? Like, this guy still was there, right? He's still writing. It's kind of strange, man. I think there's some weird shit going on there, and I think more or less where I was gonna go with that was Nietzsche. I think it affirms the path of a philosopher. Like, these people are true philosophers in the sense that they become totally detached from. They're true thinkers. They think more than they live.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. They think, oh yeah, that's the path of the philosopher, to think more than live, and that's for everyone. For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
To think more than live.
It's like Nietzsche poured himself literally into pages.
Name the time a philosopher ever did a fucking thing.
Something like that, exactly.
Cue it.
I can think of just like one right now, and maybe another one. Leibniz came up with like a trigonometry or.
Oh yeah, they contribute for sure, but it's always ideas, right?
Ideas, yeah. Oh yeah, it is, yeah.
But it's usually the guy whose hands-on is like, you're talking too much or whatever. Like, shut up and put your hands on something. Grab a tool.
Words, where the words exist.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to think of one. There are some that had like careers before philosophy. Like Wittgenstein wanted to be a rocket engineer before he became a philosopher. Like, he legit wanted to be like a pilot and like an aerospace engineer before he discovered that he actually had a fascination with the foundations of mathematics, and that's why he did philosophy. And he thought he ended it, and he came back to it. Yeah.
Continental dreg.
Yeah, the best thing that Wittgenstein did was he waved a hot poker at Karl Popper.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, oh yeah, oh that was funny when I read that. Yeah,
absolutely based.
Yeah,
for a moment, he had a moment of based clarity, and then like went back to spurging out on words.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. And then we had like, who was from that era? Oh yeah, we had like like all of the French philosophers, like Deleuze and Derrida and those guys, and Foucault. Yeah,
gross.
Yeah, not a big fan of French philosophers except for Ellul and maybe Cioran, and that's about it. Yeah, because like I just think that they're not like addressing actual concrete issues. They're just making up concepts like out of like reading their own like idiosyncratic readings of like other philosophers, which literally that's what Deleuze is doing. He's just reading other philosophers and making up like these weird ideas that are very, very like obscure ideas with like weird languages. I'm like, whoa, you know.
Yeah, I nitpick from Deleuze. So there's a couple things I like from him.
Yeah, just a few, but overall, I just can't get behind him at all. Like, it's just like, no, you're way too jargon filled. That's fine. Like, being jargon filled is okay, but you take it to like a gross level of it. I'm like, are you even addressing problems, you know, that are like a concrete, or are you just like trying to win like
flexing? He's
flexing like ideas. Yeah. Well, anyways, I think I'm gonna have to head out, but it was a great time talking with each and every one of you. And yeah, I'm gonna go to bed now.
Yeah, blessings. Yeah, same here. I think I'm gonna pass out and Yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Bye, everyone. Have a good day. I mean, have a good night. Wherever
Yeah,
you
you
are.
too.
Yeah,
Appreciate you.
yeah, sweet dreams.
Absolutely.
All the people. Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. So much longer stream tomorrow. So yes, everybody come back and participate. And if you guys have any closing thoughts, let me know.
Hey, you never sent me. This is part of my closing thoughts. You never sent me that video that you laid out your like cosmology or whatever. I know you have to dig it up.
Yeah, I'll
probably.
dig it up. Yeah, I'll dig it up.
Um,
Yeah, but it's
just-
like
just
10
remind me.
or it's like 10 or 11 or in that series that we're doing now. So I know we're at like 170 or something, but yeah.
Okay, I'll go back. I can,
140-ish.
Yeah, but if I find the exact same video where I explain all that, I'll definitely send it.
I was highly intrigued until Unit 8200 space beamed me. So
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember
yeah,
that.
Yeah,
so,
but you were in your car, weren't you?
I was,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
Their
he
tech,
was-
their
yeah,
tech
he was
these
driving
days is crazy.
Yeah, he's driving around. So
Yeah.
So I'll try to get that over to you guys. And yeah, I'll obviously start clipping all that stuff. Yeah, blessings to Joel. Thanks, all the people for being here. Tom, Denise, blessings. Yeah, appreciate it. Oh yeah, MPC, blessings, man. Thank you for watching. All right.
Popo.
Yeah, Popo.
Popo and shit.
Yeah, I switched from I switched from the Piccolo to Popo. So so
Yeah, it's real code switching.
yeah, that's code switch.
Well, yeah, it was short lived, but good talk, Dom. Are you gonna stay up for a little longer? I may
Yeah.
holler at you in Discord.
Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow, guys. I'll come. I'll come check you guys out in Discord, but I'll be sleeping. Most of the time. So,
Oh,
it is
yeah,
what it is.
this will
but-
definitely put you to sleep.
Yeah. Because I took tons of edibles earlier, way before I started the stream. Like an hour before I started the stream, I was already.
Man, before I got on here, I was watching every once in a while I stumble across you and Andrew Wilson's debate. And I was just watching you destroy
Yeah.
him while smoking that bleeze. And I was like, man, it's just that whole video is a vibe to me. I don't know. I come back to it again, but before I got on here, I was watching that. When you mentioned edibles, I thought about you just kicking back in that fucking throne and just smoking gas on Andrew Wilson and destroying him. That shit was hilarious, my guy.
Yeah, it's a fun one. We'll do some more soon, if we can. Try to entice the opponents. The thing is, I don't want to antagonize people too much. I want to give overarching critiques that I can agree with as many people as possible. I don't know why. I think that's the best way to go about things. But like, I know if we debate things, then we're either gonna have to, either throw technology under the bus. If we debate religion, we're gonna have to throw like Christianity under the bus. I really don't want to do that, right? Because I don't think that's fair. Taking a combative stance like that, right? Because A, right, man is technological at its core. B, Christianity is not the problem on the grand scale of things, right? So, if we're gonna debate like either theology or technology, then it's always gonna be, just because that's the majority of the debaters, it's going to be the fake and gay Christian grifters, right? I don't care. I will debate the Muslims too, right? Because they are not doing anything, right, for either Islam or the Muslims, or they don't stand up for what they talk about, and they basically just get paid, right? Essentially to lie to people. So, I'm definitely into debating people, But I'm into just exposing all sides. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, if it's something like with the Wilson thing, we get lucky enough. Actually, the original question that I proposed to them was Uncle Teddy right? So that
Wow,
was,
he deviated heavily from that.
yeah, he didn't want to debate that, right? And then and then he put it as technological collapse, which is a weird,
Yeah.
And then he debated free will the whole time, which he can't get out of that box, right? So
Yeah, I noticed that. I like the way you handled it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't so much the topic that was entertaining. It was just your the way you battle. I find it entertaining. So
yeah, thank you, brother.
Yeah.
God bless.
Well, good night, guys. Red, Lord,
Yeah,
Dom,
peace,
Easy.
Avian, TML. Night, guys.
Peace, man.
Peace.
I'll get off too.
Peace.
Be on Discord. Words.
Yeah, thank you, my friend. Yeah, thanks for participating.
Yeah, blessings.
Yeah, blessings, Buddha. Thanks for being here. And yeah, what do you guys think?
Damn it. For the low price of $5.99, you too can have a piece of the future. Let's hope we don't become trend parasites. I'll catch you tomorrow. I'll be here. Have a good night, y'all. Be safe.
Easy.
Yeah, we'll be back 9:15 tomorrow. So 9:15 p.m. Eastern. So come check us out here. And Red, you got anything to say to these people before we?
I thought I did, but I don't know. Just kind of went to the wayside.
Yeah. Well, anyways, enjoy the music, folks, and I'll play probably tons of musical arrangements now, right? And we'll see where we come to when
Hyperborean reminded me, do not seek the treasure.
yeah, exactly. Right. Do not seek the treasure of I don't know how they want to of Jack and the Beanstalk. Let's just put it that way, right? So we don't get too dogmatic here. But yeah, blessings to all the people, and yeah, clarity to all. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you, Godheart. All right, yeah, so we'll be back. Blessings to all the people. Thank you for joining us here on the Machine Lies, where we talk about the lies of the machine on the machine that lies. And yeah, we'll continue the discussion tomorrow. Blessings. And yeah, peace.
looks like
Oh,
your video
whoops.
froze.
Oh, whoops! Are we totally frozen here?
Yeah,
Oh, wow!
your audio's good though.
Holy cows! All right, we'll be back.
Let's see what Nietzsche said about Christianity real quick. The Christian church has left nothing untouched by its depravity. It has made every value a disvalue, of every truth a lie, of every kind of integrity a vileness of soul. Sad trombone. It's part of his Nietzsche's pronouncement against Christianity. In the last his last paragraph of Antichrist. That was probably what I forgot, but it was kind of relevant some part of the conversation, but it got away from me. Anyways.
Alright, let me find where that was. Alright, yeah. Sorry about that. But yeah, blessings to you guys. Yeah, we'll talk to you guys soon. Yeah, Antichrist. And yeah, we'll definitely talk about lots more issues in terms of Bostrom and Gwinan and Skolomowski, Mumford, right, Alul. So we got all that coming up tomorrow. So I'm excited to get into it with you guys. Blessings.
I spit hot bars, I spit on cop cars, I spit game to the chicks that belong to rock stars. Got the goods uptown to Hollywood, so what you don't like us, your girl probably would. Having a good day on the freeways of Lose in Mercer's El Torre. listening to Ghostface. Well, hold up and let me smile for a minute while I look across the sky for a limit. Come and get it. I'ma ride this roller coaster till the wheels fall off, and I'ma ride your Cali roll until my eel goes soft.
Take a journey through the mind of a one of a kind, self-made motherfucker that's enjoying his time on land, on air, on mics and on sea. Let it all just be good times on me. It's California, fool. Flyest breezes in the world, and we can roll up a bleezy that'll make your toes curl.
And it goes puff, puff, pass, so you can kiss my ass. Oh, you didn't know? You must have missed the class.
It's sunshine one time, MCs with punchlines, hit elements on Sunday, put it on the front line.
And tell them all to make some ruckus for the fuckers in the clutches, and the soldiers in the trenches, and the wenches on the guest list. Call heaven, tell them got a situation. Merson 7 came to breakfast and left with all the
I spit hot bars, I spit on cop cars, I spit game to the chicks that belong to rock stars. Got the goods uptown to Hollywood, so what you don't like us, your girl probably would.
I spit hot bars, I spit on cop cars, I spit game to chicks that belong to rock stars. Got the goods uptown to Hollywood, so what you don't like us, your girl probably would.
We be the first dudes putting treasure over beats. Every measure be complete to make sure it's buried deep, locked in your memory to provide a safe keep. So even if you digging what another rapper saying, he can't break the seal, so our music keeps playing. Living legends, what I'm saying, cause I know y'all been waiting, so I open up the gate. Slug made its way in, we pimp this production as a present for the patient.
Just jump back, kiss yourself, and thank your God for your breath and your health. Life is short and all day surprise. Keep your nose clean, open your ears and your eyes.
Call me Mr. President for short, credit to the sport. Incredible in court, an indelible source, an immeasurable force. The strength of remorse, and I'm pushing metaphors just to better your course.
Here, vision is blurry, living in a hurry. No worries, you can call me Chicken Little Curry. Keep the channel spicy, flipping words like Vanna Whitey, and watch the contestants run in circles to analyze me. Here we go, Mr. Quiet Storm. Break down, take apart your heart and redesign the form. Tried to warn them, nobody heeded, so we succeeded at feeding these sheep what the party needed.
I spit hot bars, I spit on cop cars, I spit game to the chicks that belong to rock stars. Got the goods uptown to Hollywood, so what you don't like us, your girl probably would.
I spit hot bars, I spit on cop cars, I spit game to chicks that belong to rock stars. Got the goods uptown to Hollywood, so what you don't like us, your girl probably would. But baby, I'm only born in 21 and higher. You kinda young, you should settle down, Tiger. Take a little time to reweave the fiber. Reach for tomorrow and let me borrow your lighter.
Yeah, I freestyle with him and them too, but they still haven't gone through what I've been through. Excuse me, what we've been through. Meaning me and you, see I'm just like you, except that I rock the mic and you work at it.com. Or maybe you're a critic trying to say the same bomb, but what it doesn't matter, cause I'm still Mercer, you're still Veteran. This is my verse and I'm talking to my listeners.
Sound networks, check on my clockworks, taking time to complete artwork, cause we're gonna look down below, lost the sound, waiting for the lunar eclipse to move ground. Now have a look around, unison in front of gates to open, say my lungs stop smoking. Now we're ready to explore oceans, play on sand beaches, islands, remain low-key. Once there's money flowing, who's gonna turn hungry? Follow this experiment, check where my footsteps went. Pure nectar to collect, there's no jewels on my neck. We're leaving out the fake effects, just music connects. And letters were composed to protect. We'll style survivors, defending shapes. What's left is my personal state of lost tapes, reflecting stories from work to leisure. Unison's got 360 angles to measure, bringing pure pleasure.
Took time to develop my pictures. Took time to develop my pictures in dark rooms. Took time to develop my pictures. Took time to develop my pictures in dark rooms.
If sound's overcooked, it doesn't taste right. We're leaving competition down below waist height, getting raced by and chased by. Wanna be images, they're pretending to float high, so we're gonna be running it down to the bottom line. It's unnecessary to fake the fun, cause we're living in galleries, meeting relatives, pentags and lavatories. Pure fatness, and why you saving calories? Unison's got triple trademarks of quality, cause I'm the one talking. It's my voice that you're hearing, directions I'm walking, my choice of steering. While drinks have been running, we'll have crews watching. At all times, we're gonna try cause we're aiming to be on point in every single situation. I woke up the next morning and dried out patient. Plus don't give me any of that vital information. We'll get lost like radiation and we're still staying patient.
Took time to develop my pictures. Took time to develop my pictures in dark rooms. Took time to develop my pictures. Took time to develop my pictures in dark rooms.
I spent hours doing this, planning, ramming into walls to let it twist, adding extra special liquids, running it through mechanics, machines and valleys, only them valleys. When it proves to be solid, tested to be the freshest. We're leaving crowds restless, ladies senseless and soldiers defenseless. Harmless range of weapons, something to step on, time to bring that vibe that's long gone. Stick that bubble gum and it's sun-dried, like walking streets late July. Headed by the glorified, I can see through my two eyes. Straight from my nerve center, something to remember. Let's stick with all the way, down to December. Unison's got charisma, enough to trap her. Now we're mixing combinations like sweet and sour. Still arising, out of self-made structures. Up and thinking kitchen, mixing liquor.
Time to develop my pictures. Took time to develop my pictures in dark rooms. Took time to develop my pictures. Took time to.
Live from one correctional facility psycho ward. It's Infinite Evil, and he didn't take his medication, so he's live. And here he goes. When I grab the microphone, I screws like Ebenezer. Epileptic seizure, epileptic seizure. So if you want to battle, or would you want to be sure? Epileptic seizure, epileptic seizure. A conniption fit starts as a part of it. When I grab your microphone, your tone and your brain cells a bit split, spread, let the dead bob on pencil less spoken. Mutant energies got you open. See, I never wanted to be human, so I made my own change and chamber. The kid you once knew has now become a stranger. Only age 8 when I made my choice to strengthen power and the volume of my voice. 100% rapper, 2000% thinker. Got drunk off the track, now I'm a music drinker. When I grab the microphone, I screws like Ebenezer. Epileptic seizure, epileptic seizure. So if you want to battle, or pretend want to beat ya. Epileptic seizure, epileptic seizure. Call me bleeder, cause I frustrate, mass elevate, educate to my style. For a while, man versatile, cause no medicine or medicine or profile can stop my lyrical projectile. Let it all launch from our force. The mutants come with evil's cause, cause evil's cause is infinite. There's nothing to the walking energy that's bluffing. So when I grab the microphone, I screws like Ebenezer. Epileptic seizure, epileptic seizure. So if you want to battle, I wouldn't want to be ya. Epileptic seizure, epileptic seizure. Touch part of my heart for the chart, cause I don't wanna be like the rest. Be like the best, the contest is in freestyle, and that's nonetheless. You better understand why our mutant is more than man. Brain cells shall expand, cause I'm rush. Grab the microphone, then bust so bust. At the same time, like still so rush. Have to call another part to your jaw. Epileptic seizure, y'all. When I grab the microphone, I screws like Ebenezer. Epileptic seizure, epileptic seizure. So if you want to battle, I wouldn't want to be ya. Epileptic seizure, epileptic seizure. Bring the screamer, please. Well, my mic is like real tight and excite all emotion with the real sick. Infinite evil notion coming on top of the ocean. Who's what? Got what? Feel my brain cells getting hot, cause I'm about to come and melt. You better see the threatening styles in my letter. AVOL, can't you tell? at the force in the empire. You know, and for all the mutants that are out there that grab the microphones and mutate against the commercial lust. Mutant attack into through the chest, leap through the back. 1996 Empire combination. Mad frustration. Oh, yeah, you step to us.